Hello, welcome to Scuba. This is the Aeris A300AI dive computer. A hose integrated dive computer, obviously, so it displays pressure on the computer itself and also calculates remaining airtime, things like that. The Aeris computer uses a dual algorithm, so you can actually change the way it behaves. It uses both the Ballman modified algorithm, which most traditional dive computers use, but it can also be switched to DSAT. Now, the Ballman is great for 2 dive days, where you've got a deeper one and a shallow one in the afternoon. And the DSAT is great for repetitive dives, where you're doing the same dive 3 or 4 times a day. Basically gives you a much better decompression rate on DSAT for repetitive dives. But obviously, if you're doing the 2 dive days, you're going to switch and use the Ballman type of algorithm. So it gives you much more flexibility, being able to tailor your diving to your particular profiles. Gives you the opportunity also to match a lot of other computers. You can switch it over to someone that's using a Sunto computer, for instance, switch it over and it's using very, very similar profile to theirs, so you don't get penalised either way. Use a changeable battery on the back, just literally unscrews, put a new one in, screw it back up. Also PC interface on the side, which is supplied with the pack. It's also covered by the Aeris lifetime guarantee. So as long as you bring it into a authorised centre, get your battery, and either they'll fit it or you'll fit it, it's covered for life. If anything goes wrong with the computer that's not obviously operator error or general wear and tear, it will get repaired or replaced. So a great feature from that point of view. Very, very slim line, so fits nicely against the body or the BCD. Clip at the top, so it can be on a retractor or clipped up out of the way. Use a simple 3-button system, generally up and down, and then you've got a select button on the side, and then the screen, which normally has a shield over the top, which we've removed just for clarity, has an LCD portion at the top, at the bottom, and the top, and a dot matrix display in the centre. So you get a lot of information on that dot matrix display. Things like text in the menu system makes it much easier to navigate around the system. Also comes with a nice protective case, which you can obviously fit on. And you can remove the dive computer from the hose, from your regulators, just by unscrewing and removing. It's obviously great as a security feature after dives. If your kit's lying around out in the public, you can also just remove the computer. If you want to take it away, download your profiles during the dive, after the dive, you can also do that. So we're going to run through some of the features and see some of the screens that are actually on the computer so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so if we run through some of the screens and menus that you find on the computer. At the moment the computer is in standby. It will go to standby after 2 hours of no use. So pushing the buttons will activate the computer. It will run through its diagnostics. At this point, you're saying you haven't entered any information, so you can plug it into the computer and enter your own personal information, and it will display it at this point. And then it goes into the default screen. So at the top, we've got surface time. Obviously, it's no dives, so it's not showing any surface time. It's in normal mode, which is normal dive mode. It also does gauge mode, so it will display your current depth, dive time and things like that. Bottom left shows the cylinder pressure. Obviously it's not connected to a cylinder at the moment, so it is reading 0. And on the right it's currently showing that using gas 1. So you can switch between 1, 2, 3 or 4 gases. Menu system, very simple. Pushing on a button, either left or right, will bring up the menu, and then using the left and right buttons to move up and down. It's a very quick navigation. So the settings we have here are fly and desaturation times. So if you want to view that information, got the cursor over the menu, press select button, and it will show you that information. So currently no fly restrictions and no saturation left to complete. Press select button, again we'll go back a stage. Also got planning, so again select. At this point you can increase the depth and it will show you your no decompression limits for that depth based on the gas you're using. So at the moment it's got 21%, which is air, set in there, so it's giving you the information based on those percentages. Pressing select, we'll go back. Logbook, nothing in there, but it will allow you to cycle through the different logs, view that information for each one just by selecting. You can view the detailed information, select again, we'll come back out. The set menu, obviously you can change all the different configurations of the computer. FO2 basically allows you to set the oxygen percentage for each gas. So at the moment, gas 1 is currently set at 21%, which is air. You can also turn on and configure these other gases. So if you press select, it starts flashing with the air, and you can use the up and down arrows to increase or lower the oxygen percentage. And it'll give you your maximum operating depth at the top. So when you've got to the one you want, press select, and that's now configured. You can also choose your PO2 between 1.2 and 1.6. Select, and that's now set in the menu. If you hold down select, it will go back a stage. And again, you can go out of that just by holding down select as well. So moving on to alarms, I'm just moving down, press select, and here you can set all the different type of alarms that this computer has. So you can turn audible alarms on and off, you can have a depth alarm. Just scrolling down, you've got loads and loads of different alarms, end alarms, pressure alarms, all sorts of things that you can quickly change on there depending on your particular preference. Not everyone is going to want to have all these alarms on, so it does give you the option of turning them off. So once you're done there, hold select, we'll go back to the previous. Utilities, you can set things like the wet activation, the unit type, so imperial and metric, whether you want it to do deep stops, whether you want safety stops on, how long you want them on for, what type of algorithm in here. Again, this is touching on what we were talking about earlier, in that you can change the algorithm type. So DSAT that's got selected there is for repetitive dives. You're doing the same dive for numerous times during the day. If you press select, it starts flashing, and you can change that to the Pelagic Z+. The Pelagic Z+ is the Ballman modified algorithm, which most other brands use for their computers. Okay, so go back to the menu. You've got time, so you can set your preferences on time, what format you want it in, so 12 or 24, the actual time, date, so all that sort of information in there. You can also program shortcuts, so when you're in doing a dive, you can select a button to do a particular thing. You want to change a gas, you can set a shortcut up to change a gas to gas 2, so it makes it a bit quicker than running through the different menus and finding the right settings. And then in Dive Main, you can make lots of adjustments on the actual dive information that's displayed on the screen. So you can use the default at the top, or you can start adding these different bits of information into your screen rather than the default data that's shown. So it gives you lots of flexibility of what you can use. And then we're back to the top. So hold down select, and hold down select again, takes you back to the normal. On this screen, you've got 2 bar graphs on either side. This one on the right hand side is a variable ascent rate. So depending on the depth, it will obviously give you a ascent percentage. Obviously going up into red is a bad thing to do, but it varies that level of ascent rate depending on what depth you're at. So as you become shallower, that becomes more sensitive. So getting into the 6 metre mark, that is becoming very sensitive, so it makes you slow down as much as possible. and on the left-hand side, you've got your saturation level, basically. So green, good, yellow, getting on the full side, and then on the red, you're fully loaded, and you've got to start sort of thinking about coming up or doing decompression. So very, very feature-rich computer. As you see, it's a nice compact size, comes off, fits into its bag very, very tightly, put it into the pocket if you want to. It's a great computer. That's the Aeris A300AI.